All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Jumpmaster X podcast. And today we're going to be talking about a very special, a very secret exercise. Some would say it's the magical key to jumping higher. Wouldn't you say, Tom?
Sheesh. Didn't realize we're giving it out today.
Yeah.
But all right. I'm
You're
excited,
giving
bro.
all
I
the
want to know.
secrets out.
I want to know.
Nah, it's not magical. There's nothing magical about it, but it is a very good exercise, and we like, and we wanted to talk about it because Tom has been doing it recently. Jordan really likes it. I like it. It works. There's nothing magical about it. There's nothing crazy about it. It's not like you're going to add 20 inches to your vertical in 1 week through doing it, but it's definitely an exercise you should definitely consider implementing in your training at one point if you haven't already. And that exercise is depth jumps. Very, very classic exercise, vertical jump exercise, I would say. Goes way, way, way back. You know, the shock method, used it in my training. Tom's just started using it in his training. Jordan has used it quite a lot throughout the years and absolutely loves it. And that's because it works. It's as simple as that. It works. And it gets your body rebounding off the floor more quickly, taking off more quickly. It can help your jumps start to feel way more effortless through doing it consistently in your training.
Yep.
Like it can you feel like you're just snapping back up off the ground, especially through a full approach. I know for me, it definitely felt like that a little bit more when I was doing it consistently in my training and progressing it and overloading it. And I guess to use marketing terminology, it can get you feeling like you have springs in your legs. You know, it's a legal steroid. Right, probably that's taking it a little bit far, but you guys kind of get the point. But anyways, a lot of athletes, right? You know, they work on getting stronger. They work on developing their strength and doing power work. They might already be doing sprinting and things like that, right? But they're not really utilizing too many plyometrics, and this is where depth jumps can come in. They're very scalable. You can start purely from just doing the landing and then progressing into doing little baby jumps. And it's very progressible and very, very scalable, right? Now,
Right.
essentially, what is a depth jump? A depth jump is simply where you step off a box. You can almost start with any height. However, it's better if you can progress it into higher heights over time. Um, you land on the ground and then you immediately jump as high as you can. And there's two ways you can actually do this. You can go for maximum height where the ground contact time is a little bit longer, typically, or you can go for a more snappy and reactive ground contact time where you're trying to get off the ground as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So one is, I guess, if you want to get more specific with things, one is a depth jump. The other one is called a drop jump. So depth jump is where you're aiming for max height and you're not really too focused on getting off the ground as quickly as you can, even though you're still trying to get off the ground quickly. And the other one is just purely focused on trying to get off the ground as quickly as possible and not really worrying about too much about height and prioritizing ground contact time more specifically. And that is a drop jump, right? So there's two ways you can approach it. So you're not essentially just jumping, you're training your nervous system to fire faster, essentially with this. And you're developing something called your stretch shortening cycle, right? So when you land, your muscles and your tendons essentially stretch like a rubber band. And as you jump immediately after, like that energy is stored and then it gets released, giving you more power. And that's essentially called the stretch shortening cycle. And depth jumps, they make this system more efficient. So like quicker reflexes, they get you better at producing force faster, which obviously equals better bounce. And there's been a lot of studies on this as well. They're showing that depth jumps increase rate of force development, speed, your reactive strength, and obviously what we're talking about right now, the stretch shortening cycle. These are all key metrics for vertical jump performance, and it's essentially like 50% of what an approach jump is, right? So one, it's about how much force you can produce, but also how quickly you can produce that force as well. All right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anything to add there, Tom?
You covered box height. You should probably start lower because, if you're new to depth jumps and, if you don't jump very high, say your vet's like 24 inches, right? And you go and do a depth jump off like a 50-inch box, yeah, you might be able to do it. You might be able to just,
Don't
jump
do
off
that.
it and don't do it. But like you'd probably be spending like half a second on the ground, which defeats the purpose anyway. So yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you measured your ground contact, Austin, on your depth jumps.
No. But
Okay.
another key thing I actually want to talk about is they
Mm.
develop eccentric capacity.
Yeah.
All right, so you will get eccentrically stronger through getting better at depth jumps. Like there's studies on like fascicle length and all that. Like if you get better at depth jumps, uh, like it'll affect the muscle fascicle length, essentially, especially as you start trying to overload the exercise because there's a shit ton of eccentric force when you land, especially when you're doing it at heights you're not used to. Your body will adapt to that over
Mm.
time. That's one of the major benefits of it as well. And it's a lot safer than doing it where you're like trying to overload a strength exercise, and put
Right. Yeah.
super maximal weights on your back. He's essentially getting the same, if not very similar benefit. That's one thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, sorry, going back to what you were saying, Tom, my ground contact time, yeah, it's quite long. It's quite long,
Okay.
in comparison to yours, because you've been doing it recently. You started doing them recently this week, Tom.
Yeah. So generally, for like a 2-foot jump, right, you're looking between like 250 and 300 milliseconds. That's just like a regular 2-foot jump, not talking about depth jumps. And I was doing mine off 18 inches this week. Like week one, I started on 18 inches, stepped off, and I'm going for max height because that's going to mimic my 2-foot approach, ground contact time. And I was getting around 280 milliseconds, I believe, on the depth jumps. But I'm going for max height, which is actually very similar to what Jordan gets. He gets about 260 to 280, I believe he said in the group chat. But apparently Finn Addy, right? I don't know what height he was doing his off. It was probably around the same 18 inches to like 25 inches, something like that. Apparently his was like 180, bro.
Well, he's a 1 foot guy, so
I know, but that's insane, eh?
yeah. Well, Finati, if you guys don't know, is one of our jump master ex athletes, and yeah, he jumps really well off 2 feet, but he's primarily a 1 foot guy. And his depth jump is, I would say, is closer to a drop jump with his ground contact time, with how quickly he gets off the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure
Um,
what strategy he was actually opting for when he got that 180, if it was for short ground contact or
Bro,
if him
yeah,
going for max height probably just is a short ground contact.
yeah,
You know?
that's what I think as well.
Yeah.
That's what
Probably
I think.
same thing for him, really. Yeah.
But why have you started doing them recently this week, Tom? What's made you make that decision?
I've just been talking to Jordan a ton, and asking him about his training and where I could probably add some stuff into my training. And then we got talking, and it seems that I haven't really done too many plyometrics in my training. I mean, obviously jumping's one and sprinting's one, but like when people think of like plyometrics, like traditional stuff, like depth drops, single leg hops, all that, I haven't really done all too much of that. So it just seems like the right time to do it. And why would you not, give your body a new stimuli? It's like free newbie gains,
Yeah.
So yeah, Jordan's just been coaching me through that, which has been really good actually.
If you think about it, depth jumps are really the poster boy for plyometrics.
Yeah,
It's really the
honestly.
poster boy. Like if you met an advertisement for plyometrics, it would have a depth jump on it, really. Everyone's seen it before and knows what it is. But um okay, so what have you noticed so far since doing them, Tom?
I think it's too early to tell. Like they're really fun. I've noticed that. I've definitely gotten better at them because I've done 2 sessions worth of them, and I noticed in the second session, just like the coordination of like knowing kind of when to fire off the ground, that's gotten a lot better. But in terms of like carry over to my vertical, I think that will be a time will tell. A couple months down the line.
Yeah.
To be fair, I did jump well like 2 days after my session of doing depth jump. So
Yeah.
You don't know. Maybe it's already coming into effect, especially because of the way I jump. I basically do a depth jump into my jump.
Yeah. Like unless you're a newbie, right? It takes time to get the adaptations from
That's it.
plyometrics. It's not a straightaway thing. You need to do them consistently for like months to see the real gains from them because it does take time to for your body to adapt and essentially recover and everything like that from them. But a big benefit Jordan has talked about, and a big reason why he implements step jumps into his training, is even when he's fatigued from a lot of heavy lifting, he notices he can bounce off the ground quicker in his approaches when he's doing depth jumps consistently in his training versus
Mm.
not doing them. It allows him to still get that kind of reactivity, keep that reactivity in his jump, even when he's training hard and training uh, quite heavy. And that's definitely something I noticed as well when I was doing them. Like my approach jump, I felt like I could throw myself into the jump more. Like I had way more confidence just, yeah, pushing really aggressively through my penultimate and bringing a lot of speed into my jump. And then I had a lot more confidence that my body would be able to eccentrically handle that extra speed and velocity and then just essentially rebound and jump up. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know if you felt
yeah,
that, Tom, but Jordan's noticed that. I've noticed that.
yeah. I think it's still too early to tell.
Well, you already have
Um,
that anyways.
yeah, I
That's
always
your
jump better if I
superpower.
like jump into my penultimate. So yeah,
So it's gonna make your superpower even better then.
I will say this. I think, like I said, yeah, it is too early to tell. But I think I'll really start getting the benefits of depth drops when I get like to really high levels. Because at the moment, it's almost just like training the exact same thing that a dunk session would. I kind of like that 18-inch range. But when I start getting over like 24, 25, doing depth drops from there, I think that's when the real gains will start showing. But again, I don't want to like
Yeah.
rush into it or anything because that's just, not the way to do things here.
So that's the thing, right? So we're gonna get into that now. So how to use them safely and how to use depth jumps, right? So starting off, if you're new to them, you're gonna have to start off with a lower box. But I think you like you're experiencing right now, Tom, is you're not gonna see the real benefits from them through doing that. But you might need to start that way so then you don't end up getting injured.
Mm.
But where you start to see the real benefits from them is where you start landing off a higher box than what you're used to. Um, so then you can get that eccentric overload through the movement, and then you can essentially shock your system, right? That's why it's called, part of why it's called the shock method, right? It kind of goes under that sort of umbrella. So that's where you need to ensure to get the real benefits. You're doing it off a high enough box, but you're going to need to probably start slow and progress into that over time to avoid injury and start with lower
Mm.
volume. So right now, like what are the kind of sets and reps you're doing right now, Tom?
So first of all, Jordan made this very clear when I was talking to him. He said, do not go straight into it. Even if you've had a dunk session beforehand, even if you've done ISOs, even if you've sprinted, even if you're warm in it, however you've gotten warm, don't go straight into it. Do a rep, 25%. So you step off, the little rebound, 25% effort, then you work your way up. It's literally like a dunk session. You keep increasing the intensities until you get to that 100%, and then, whatever's prescribed, you do. So for the first session, I worked my way up. I think I did maybe 4 to 5 jumps till I was like, comfortable going 100%. And then I did 8 sets of the 18 inches of one. So I'd do rebound, wait like 1, 2 minutes, reset, do it again. Did that 8 times off the 18-inch box.
Yeah, no, 100%. Um, and also, you want to make sure you're doing a full rest in between reps
Yeah.
as well. This is like it's more neural training. You're obviously trying to train your fast twitch fibers. So if you're not resting long enough, you're not going to get that effect you want out of them. And you also need to ensure you're not doing too many reps too. Like you want to be fresh for every rep and ensure you're getting max outputs. So that's what I would say the maximum amount of reps you'd want to do here is 5 reps, but sometimes I'd even say that might be too much as well. I would more ideally go no more than 3.
You mean like consecutive?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I've ever programmed more than 3 back to back.
Yeah. No, 100%. Um, And obviously, there's two ways you can do it. You can focus on max jump height, or you can focus on ground contact time. It just depends on what you're trying to emphasize in your training. Now, if you're a very strong athlete, but you're not necessarily getting the transfer from that strength, and you feel like you're not jumping as high as you should be, considering how strong you are, this is where doing something like this and implementing more of these faster movements in your training is going to be highly beneficial for you, and ensure you're getting that more of that translation in your training. So yeah. Okay. So is there anything else we haven't mentioned about them, Tom, that you would
I
say?
would say, this is just a side note I was thinking of. If you're like an injury-prone athlete, whether that's knee pain or Achilles pain, like you could almost do it in like reverse order and go like, say you want to start implementing depth drops. You're a strong athlete, and you, like you said, also you're not transferring how you want to. Maybe the first like training block of implementing depth jumps, you do depth jumps for height because you're gonna have a higher ground contact, and then you can move into the faster stuff. Because I'd say more often than not, it's that really fast rebounding elastic movement that's more likely gonna flare up your tendons. So you can almost periodize it like that, where you start off with the slower stuff and then move to the quicker stuff. But
Yeah.
don't go from 0 to 100 straight away. That's what I'm saying.
And it also depends on what type of jump you are as well, 1 foot or 2 foot,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
you go with this too. So that's going to
100%.
influence how you should approach things and how you should periodize your training.
That's
But
it.
if you guys want more help with that, and you don't want to have to think about that, and you want to eliminate your guesswork, you can apply for coaching down below, and we can help you out
Hmm.
and ensure this gets done properly. But without further ado, we hope this
See,
podcast has helped you guys, and you got a lot of value from it. And essentially, we'll catch you guys in the next episode of the Jumpmaster X podcast.
so see ya.